All right, welcome everybody to this week's episode of Star Wars Rebels Revisited. I'm Ashley Brienzo,
One on Mark Von Olen.
and it's great to see you all here with us on our Empire Day watch along. So glad you joined us.
Happy Empire Day, everyone, both in
Happy
the
Empire
real
Day.
world and in the Star Wars world.
So today we're going to be rewatching the Empire Day episode. It's season 1, episode 8 of Star Wars Rebels. So make sure you get your Disney Plus queued up because we'll be starting that shortly.
This is a really important episode. It's midway through season one, still as the tone is getting darker, I would say, throughout Rebels. But it feels almost like an inflection point because we get so much new information about Ezra.
Yeah, you learn more about Ezra in this episode than you have so far in the series. And to me, it totally changes your viewpoint about Ezra. And like I said, you learn a lot.
Yeah, I agree. I think if anyone was wondering, one, like how he was so capable as an orphan, or what led him to that point, or why he could be so angry, like he did, like he goes into anger pretty quickly, right? Like
Yeah.
this explains a lot of that. Like this gives you the background on his family tragedy, what the Empire did to him, how he's in this particular circumstance, and it sort of justifies a lot of the behavior we saw in the first half of the season.
And I feel like it also forces him, it's the catalyst for him getting to trust and getting to grow and kind of initiates him into the Ghost family even more so than he's started out to begin with.
Yeah, for sure. I think one of the things that holds back a lot of the relationships early on is people withholding information. People have walls up all around them. We know for a fact that Hera is intentionally holding back information from the entire crew,
Right.
specifically about them being part of a larger alliance, to keep for safety purposes, to keep everyone safe. But Sabine has a real conflict with her about that because she feels like she doesn't know everything that's happening and she doesn't feel clued in and she's just following orders, which is not something she feels comfortable with. There's a wall there. It's the same
Right.
thing with Ezra. Ezra has not shared all that background with Hera and Kanan and Sabine and and Zeb and Chopper. So they're not really understanding his full background or where he's coming from, his point of view.
And with as many pieces of this family as there are and how close they are becoming, there are walls up everywhere with this crew. And it's so interesting to see how they just managed to brick by brick just tear them down this entire series. So this is what I would like to think of as the first bit of the wall being torn down.
Yeah. It's the secrets becoming publicly known. I guess the most important one of the secrets is that Kanan's a Jedi, and we saw that in the premiere, and it's sort of
Mm-hmm.
almost like the triggering event, right? But
Mm-hmm.
from there, everyone's holding back info, and I guess in some cases, it's probably intentional storytelling from like the creators. Like if we take it out of in universe and into like how we would design a show,
Right.
we're going to slowly peel the onion on someone like Sabine and find out about her family history. We already know at this point that Zeb is like the last of his kind, which we find out more about later, but we don't know what the deal is with Ezra. We just know that he's like kind of a bratty teen. I think we've compared him to Snips before.
Mm-hmm.
This is that springboard to get a lot more info as to what happened.
Right. And you also meet someone who is very important to Ezra's past and see how he leads into the whole rebellion and the empire, um, and which side he's really on.
Yeah, and the cast in this episode too. I know who you're talking about. The cast is great. This
Mm-hmm.
is a full cast episode. All the main ghost is here, which is not true for every episode, but
Right.
Taylor Gray, Vanessa Marshall, Freddie Prinz, Tia Sircar, Steve Bloom, Dave Filoni as Chopper secretly. They're all there. But we also have Agent Callis. We have D. Bradley Baker coming in as Ezra's dad, Ephraim Bridger, which is very exciting. Kath Soucie, who does Maketh Tua, who I love me some Minister Tua. We can do a whole episode just about her. I think she's such an interesting character. Like in this mix, but we get to see her. I think it's some of her best scenes as this
Hmm.
character. Gall Travis, which is Brent Spiner from Star Trek fame, which is very cool.
Crossing the
Um,
streams.
I know I love when that happens because I think there is a larger Venn diagram overlap of Star Trek nerds and Star Wars nerds than we like to talk about. Usually you pick one and it becomes your
Yeah.
thing. They are very different. Like I like Star Trek, but I love Star Wars. They are
Hmm.
very, very different. But it is nice when they cross over. Like we got that
Yeah.
with George Takei as well. He was a voice in the
Hmm.
Clone Wars. Who else is in? Oh, Jason Isaacs, our Inquisitor. Um, which I guess that brings us to July. Before I forget, we are going to do some Inquisitor episodes. I know we promised all of you guys a couple weeks ago that
Right.
as we do more watch alongs in July, we're going to explore the Inquisitors who we spent so much time with in the Obi-Wan Kenobi show. So the Grand Inquisitor has a couple of like really hot moments in season one, and makes a really interesting appearance in season two. And then the fifth brother has some great season two moments as well. So we're going to find a couple episodes, pull together an Inquisitorious watch along of sorts for July.
Yeah.
That'll be really fun. But if you have any specific recommendations about those, like send them, send them to us. I guess the chat wouldn't be as effective for this pre-recorded show,
Right.
but like send it to us on our social channels and everything.
Yeah, absolutely. I can always drop a post in the celebration group,
Mhm.
and you guys can feel free to comment on that. Let us know what you think. Let us know what you want to see, and we'll totally make it happen because this is driven by you guys as much as it's driven by us.
Yeah, I think I like every now and then I'll get a comment about like, oh, what about this character? What about this episode? We're already building a list over
Yeah.
here. Um, we also teased out our little Andor August hashtag trademark patent pending, and we are working feverishly behind the scenes with the entire virtual Cantina network to figure out how we blow this out and get ready for the arrival of Andor on August 31st. As you know, Rebels is intricately tied to Rogue One and the characters that we expect are going to play a big role in the Andor show, like Saw Gerrera, Mon Mothma, Bail Organa. We have content that I think we're going to watch along with throughout August. So we're working on that now, and we'll come back to everyone with like a sort of lineup, I guess, for lack of a better word.
Yeah, we'll definitely be staying focused on the Rebels portion of things, but
Yeah.
the guys will have great content for you as well, from the films to Clone Wars, and see how that all ties together.
Yeah, it's amazing the threads we're creating now. Like, as I think about even a character like Andor, right? He's getting the spin-off show, and people are like, what are we doing with him? He was a fulcrum. The same way Ahsoka was a fulcrum, the same way Bail Organa was a fulcrum, the same way Leia was a fulcrum. Like, he is an important part of building out the Rebel Alliance and these early years of building the rebellion that includes like the political arm like Mon Mothma, and then the military espionage arm like Andor and those guys, and then the extremist arm of Saw Gerrera, like all those pieces falling into place. We met other related characters in Solo, like Enfys Nest, and Warwick Davis's character, who I'm blanking on, Weasel, I think.
Yeah,
They
Weasel
were
is him.
yeah, they were fighting the Empire early on in like the Solo movie. All of these groups, like we're gonna watch that build happen, but we've met them in prior streams of content. Like they've been in other movies, they've been in the Clone Wars, they've been in Rebels. So it's almost like we're gonna catch up and do our homework and then watch their latest adventure. So I love when
Yeah.
the production orders, this is exciting for us because we get to sort of jump all over the place because Rebels happens after the Andor show is what it seems like. So it's going to be
Yeah.
interesting to see how they get here.
But you also see how the information and the rebellion groups that take place in Andor and in Rogue One have inspired Leia to make a difference and to go undercover and make the changes that she needs and to help the rebellion while still remaining as a diplomatic leader to Alderaan and
Hmm.
to the Republic.
Yeah, I'm
So
sure she took notes from Mon Mothma.
totally.
And I got to tell you, I know they have conflict later in life because Mon Mothma is more of a pacifist, and Leia would be seen as more of a war hawk. It's a really interesting. They're both on the same side, but they have very different approaches, right? I
Right.
love that conflict. It's been explored a little bit in the books. I know the one about, I think it was called Bloodline, the one that really like paints Vader, Leia as like she's revealed as
Yeah.
Vader's daughter, right? Like that's the big like which is why she doesn't become like the head of the New Republic, basically. They're like, oh God, that's Vader's daughter. It would. It's funny now as I think about like, I don't want to get too political, but Cheney has a daughter and she's everywhere right now. It's like it's Vader's daughter. But like yeah, we
Yeah.
can edit that out if we need to. But it's the kind of thing where like your lineage matters, right? If
Yeah.
if you had a parent who was this person, would they trust you? Is really the thing, or will it benefit you? Like also.
I really think it's actions speak louder than words, and I
Mhm.
feel like, and this is where my iffiness with the book. Well, it's also what can happen in real life too, I suppose. But where you come from, people often judge you by your upbringing, who your parents were, who your relatives were, and so many people are better than that, and they grow from where they come from. It's nature versus nurture, I think.
Yeah. I was reading an interesting study and it was predicting people's success rates in life and income and all this kind of stuff. And they're going through all these factors. And someone sort of quote tweeted the whole thing and was like, you could just choose zip code. And that would be like, because as a starting point, like the advantages that certain people have versus disadvantages and the things you have to overcome then. And it opened up this whole
Absolutely.
discussion about like, inequity in our society, which is,
Like, yeah,
yeah,
exactly. And Leia wasn't brought up around Darth Vader. She wasn't brought up around Anakin. She was brought up by Bail Organa and Brea
yeah,
Organa,
those are her
and
parents. Yeah.
changing the the galaxy for the better, and good people sacrificing a lot to make a difference. That's where she came from. It doesn't matter who her blood father was. It's what was brought up around.
Exactly. I
So
shouldn't
that's
even
really
know it
cool.
was him. So, but
Exactly.
yeah, she does know that she is stubborn like him and passionate and whatever those
Hmm.
other words were that Obi-Wan threw at her, which I thought were great. I loved
That was
that.
so
I thought
sweet.
that moment was like, I gotta say, kid actors are tough sometimes. Like, is it gonna land or not? That girl was
Oh,
spectacular,
she was
and
adorable.
Obi-Wan really worked well with her.
Hmm.
So yeah, I thought the again, like to not to go back to Obi-Wan, but like we all enjoyed it. We were talking about it after we went off air last week for a while about what an exciting season it ended up being and how unexpected it was. Um, and
Give us
maybe there'll be
more.
more. Yeah, maybe I'll take more.
Yeah.
I'll follow any of those characters next. I actually think, when Andor first got announced, I thought they weren't going to call it Andor, and I thought they were going to call it Fulcrum, and they were going to do a season about Bail, a season about Leia, a season about Andor, a
That would have
season
been
about
so cool.
Ahsoka, like, and just call it
Yeah.
Fulcrum. But there is a separate Ahsoka show now, but it's set in the New Republic era, not in the Rebellion era, right? So, but like, I still think they could kind of do that. Like, we're gonna
Who
meet.
knows? Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, they
I
play their cards close enough to the chest, so they could be working on it now and not even tell us. But
yeah. Oh, without a doubt. Like, trust me,
it'd be
as a
huge.
licensee, I don't know what's going on. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I think that there's a lot of content streams out there that are to get excited about. There's a
Hmm.
there's a ton, and a lot of it does relate back to Rebels, which is great. So with that, we're gonna jump into our watch along to celebrate our American Independence Day. That's right, because we escaped the British to live free or something. We're gonna jump into the in-universe Independence Day in Star Wars, which is called Empire Day. So let's do our count. Ashley, you can take us to the countdown, and then when the episode starts,
Absolutely.
we'll give some background on what Empire Day is and how we got to this point.
All right, guys. So get your Disney Plus queued up, and we'll start the countdown in five, four, three, two, one. There we go.
And we are in,
In.
yep, season 1, episode 8, Empire Day, which is very much their, we'll say Independence Day, but it's actually really quite the opposite. It's the takeover day. Like it is, not not a happy day for a lot of people.
I love this scene because Sabine is clearly very concerned about Ezra and, wants to see him do well, but she's worried about him too. This
I
scene
do
cracks
enjoy
me
the
up.
little, like the little moments we get of them training, and the inability for Ezra to understand, but also the lack of skill that Kanan shows while teaching, because he was
Hmm.
only ever a Padawan. He's not a Jedi Knight. We should be very clear that
Right.
like he escaped Order 66 as a Padawan. He's really not that qualified to be training Ezra. He's survived on his own, mostly being mostly denying the fact that he's a Jedi, keeping it under wraps, much like Cal Kestis. So
Right.
he is an imperfect teacher, which I think is a really interesting setup for the show. Like, you know, if he was like Yoda or Obi-Wan, we've been there, done that. We had a
Hmm.
formal school with a structured environment and like a plan in place. This is the opposite of that.
This loath cat will not kill me. Where is he? Right there.
I have mine over in the back too. I've got like the long one that shakes. It scares the hell out of my actual cats because it's kind of too much. I do like that
Oh,
though, where it's saying like don't hang on to the past.
right.
That's which is kind of the point of this episode. Um, we should mention there's a couple of like past things in this episode that are worth exploring.
Hmm.
It's obviously Ezra's past and also the past of the Republic. You know, the
Right.
Republic's been gone for a little while now. We're in year 14-ish of the Empire, the same way we're in on Ezra. This is Ezra's 14th or 15th birthday.
15th birthday, and he's
15th
been on
birthday.
his own since he was 7.
Yeah.
So that's 8 years of living on the streets for
Yeah.
him.
Which, if I do my math correctly, and I have yet to do so, despite my degree in economics and business, it's possible that Ezra's parents could be in the Andor show, right?
That would be so
Like,
cool.
if you're thinking about connectivity that no one's thinking about right now, if you hear someone with the last name Bridger pop up in Andor, like the mom or the dad, I will legit lose my mind. So, because
That makes two of
timing
us.
wise, it's possible, and that's good enough for me, by the way, for me to make a YouTube video about it, about why it should happen and what's going to happen, and I predict it. I'm going to make that as one of my big rogue predictions, is we're going to see Ezra's parents in
Mhm.
Andor.
This
I want to will it into the universe.
this is very chilling because they just have a photo of a Rodian and they're just pulling aside all these
Mm,
Rodians and Lethal. It's it's so prejudiced and so racist.
it's
And
full on racial
yeah,
profiling.
it's
Yeah,
totally is.
yeah. Every now and then there's a really
Joe.
like political statement that the show
Hmm.
will try to make, and it's always very heavy-handed again because it's a kid show, but right on. Like, this is exactly the kind of thing that like the secret police would do. Like, they have their faces fully covered so you don't know who they are, and they're going to play the propaganda like that. Look at the red and black, like we know what that looks like.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Steve Bloom doing the voiceover brilliantly.
he's so good. I'd put him in everything.
Hmm.
Founded our glorious
Oh, there he
empire. Oh,
is.
oh, this is Governor Price, that they mentioned. So we don't meet till season 3, but she was in the and there's Gall Travis. So we meet him, but they name dropped Governor Price, who's one of my
Hmm.
all-time favorites.
She's essentially Kate Blanchett from Crystal Skull.
Yeah, it's
that's
so true.
that's what
With the
they
black
modeled her
bob.
after. Yeah,
Yeah,
totally.
I
They
love it.
admitted they modeled her after Kate Blanchett, and it's totally like right down to the voice. It's perfect. But I love how chill and reserved everyone has to be in the scene
It's
so they don't blow
scary.
their cover. It's really scary.
So I was at a gay bar, 10 years ago or whatever it was. It was Pride weekend, and it got like quote raided by the cops in a way that like it was like, I don't know, it was happy hour, but like they came in like a big group and they were looking at bottles of vodka, or all the bottles, to see if there were like drugs in the drinks. I don't know. Sometimes you get a call and they have like some sketchy reason to try to look like they're intimidating people. And they were gone in no time. By the way, this is New York City. So like that is still a thing. Like cops just like showing up in the bar and racially profiling and demanding that you watch the propaganda that's playing is
Hmm.
all real world stuff, and it still happens. It just depends again on like what zip code you're in. It's
And
super frustrating.
yeah, Ezra is wondering why they're looking for Sibo.
Yep. That's oh yeah, his story is super heartbreaking.
Mm.
Um, and another big important I guess indicator that the empire is very good at like churning, burning, using people for whatever ends, and then we'll discard you. It's just yeah.
Do you feel like Ezra's parents are reaching out through the Force?
So I don't think that he had force sensitive parents, right? Like that was never very clear, but his
Right.
force powers seem to be a little all over the place, and he's very attuned to the dark side of the force, which gets you to the life after death kind of stuff that like Sheev was always talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So if anyone could talk to a ghost, I think it would be the dark side.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think that he can tap into that very easily. Like if I'm gonna compare Ezra to anyone, it would be a Mace Windu. Like I think that he is like someone who knows how to balance the light and the dark, knows how to use the dark. And we talked a little bit
Ugh,
about like Mace using the dark last week. Um,
the most disturbing parade ever.
yeah.
Like, why would
Look,
you cheer for this unless you were
look at
forced
how look at how sterile and colorless it is and how gray and depressing, right? Like this is obviously not a celebration. This is a propaganda event and it is just cold and
Yeah.
I don't even know how to describe it.
Yeah.
Look
Let's
at the
hear some
banners.
enthusiasm,
Ugh.
threatening.
There she is though. That's
Yeah.
my cat Susie. I love her. I love her so much.
Yeah.
Low fun
She's a
fact
legend.
for all the I mean she has an IMDb page 1,000 miles long, but she's also in the Clone Wars as Mon Mothma. She did the role in the Clone Wars, and we had her sign autographs at Tops several times as
Oh,
that character, which I
cool.
loved. We even got her to sign as Mira Bridger once because she does the voice of Ezra's mom. But yeah, she's fantastic, and I love the fact that she's one of the Mon Mothmas. Her and Caroline, and now Genevieve, who Genevieve takes over the role in Rebels,
Hmm.
but she's the Clone Wars. We had
I
all
love
three
this
of
scene
them
right here.
signing. This is great. This whole like situation here.
I
There's
almost feel
just
bad about blowing it up. Oh, yeah, this guy, Baron Valen Rudor.
it seems like there's a few reasons the Empire wants Lothal, right? Like the
Hmm.
cover story is this TIE fighter program, and there's some other natural resources there. We find out it's the temple that the
Hmm.
Emperor is specifically after, but also like the Outer Rim were easy targets. I was looking back in the Clone Wars war pieces to everything, and oh, it's exciting to see fireworks. That hopefully everyone is actually watching this not on 4th of July night while the fireworks are happening. You're enjoying that.
And you're handling them safely.
Yes, and keeping your pets safe and all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is nice. The I think the animation is beautiful across all of
Oh,
this.
this scene is hilarious. I'm sorry. Freddie really brings it.
Yeah, they the Empire group on Lethal is just so easily manipulated. Like it
Dad
doesn't
is
take
just so
much.
patriotic.
All the colors, so ridiculous.
It really is. But you can see how Kanan, like right there, especially how Kanan has his lightsaber broken in half. Well, not broken, but separated in half. So it's a weapon always at his disposal, but it's not like
Mhm.
that's a lightsaber.
Yeah, it's not as noticeable. Look at
Right.
everyone hit the ground though. That explosion was spectacular.
Yeah.
Um,
By the
yeah,
way, congrats to everybody who voted for Caleb Doom, Kanan Jarrus's legacy lightsaber for Galaxy's Edge.
very exciting. I
You
saw that
totally made my
news.
day.
It must have been well, yeah, it was earlier this week that they announced it, which is fantastic.
Yeah, yesterday, I honestly, I was like, yeah, lost in my mind, you know?
Oh, there's Zeb and Callus. Oh, and the Grand Inquisitor.
He just walks away from the blast, like, yeah, whatever.
Oh, yeah, it starts getting real now.
Hmm. Shoulders. Poor Zeb. Not his fault.
I do like a run and hide uh plot line. for season one, it makes a lot of sense. You know,
Hmm.
the impact the rebellion on Lethal has is still very small, right? Like they blew up a stage and they didn't even give this lady a concussion. Like, you know what I mean? Like this, they blew up some stuff. Like it's a big deal. I mean, if this happened in real life, we would all be horrified and everyone would have scattered. But for the Empire, it's like everyone's still alive and they lost a couple of ships.
Yeah.
She's losing her mind right here, screaming, which I love. But like, yeah, they're chasing SIBO. Like that's really the big thing that they're after. So now this is a minor distraction for them.
And we go back to Ezra's house, his real
Yeah,
house.
yeah. So yeah, that feeling. Oh, there's SIBO. Yep.
Yeah.
With
That headpiece.
the Lobot. Um, I guess this is like a prototype version of what Lobot ends up doing. I guess they give the explanation that like you can opt into this at the academy currently. It eventually becomes mandatory for certain positions, but as of right now, like he can use this to access Imperial information.
Yeah, it says here lower level technicians were
Yep,
outfitted with them. Personality traded for productivity. It's sad.
19% higher. All that for 19%. I will tell you, like
Mm.
we would do it here if we could, and not we, me and you, but like the grand capitalism we.
The royal we.
Yeah. Hmm. That's the reveal on his own since he was 7. Yeah, that's crazy. So 8 years prior to this, I think the bridges could be in Andor.
That would be so cool. I mean, we saw Chopper and heard Hera's name in Rogue One. It's entirely
Yeah,
possible.
and the ghost is there in the big ship showdown. Um,
Yeah.
there's a lot of connectivity there. And look, here's the thing: I'm not gonna cry if we don't see them, but you know,
And they just realized it's Ezra's birthday.
yeah, that is the big spoiler moment of the episode. I mean, we've talked about it on the show several times, and if you're watching along a YouTube show about Rebels, you've probably watched Rebels already. Not super surprising. We also use it all the time to define his age because I'm like, oh right, like the twins are born a couple days later. Like,
Mm.
and by Empire Day, like the day the Emperor actually creates the Empire. So when Palpatine ascends, so the first anniversary wouldn't be the first Empire Day. It would be the first, like they're saying the moment it happens is Empire Day. So this
Right.
is the anniversary of. I know it gets a little confusing. Trying to see if there was any other interesting information about Empire Day itself. But glory of the Empire is the Imperial anthem, and that's what's supposed to be played. Yeah, and attendance was mandatory, which is how you know it's a propaganda event.
Mhm. And you see what SIBO is keeping in his head computer here. All the specs for the new ties and 5-year plan for Lothal
Yeah.
and every other world on the Outer Rim.
And oh, that's what I was saying earlier about the Outer Rim. So a lot of Outer Rim planets were easily pulled into the separatist movement because they were so
Mm-hmm.
far removed from Coruscant that they were never treated well. And so they were separatists mostly. And therefore, when the war was over, a lot of these planets were already hostile to the Empire, but had already been like beaten down. Like the Outer Rim is just like a hellscape in so many different ways. They have less resources. They're
Mm-hmm.
far from the capital. They're at the behest of like crime syndicates and pirates and everyone. And then in a lot of cases, they were beat down during the Clone Wars. It's really sad.
I appreciate like them balancing the gravity and the tragedy of this with some comedic moments like Sabine punching out that guard and saying, I miss Zeb as she's rubbing her fist.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. It's like she can't be the one throwing punches. She's the
no.
smallest one. She's an excellent fighter, though, and
Mm-hmm.
takes down adversaries much stronger than her constantly. All very capable, every single one of these crew members.
Right.
Yeah, you're saying about the tone is right on though. Like they do a strikingly good job balancing the severity of the situation with
Right.
some light-hearted moments.
Yeah, because holding up your hand is gonna stop somebody.
Get out of the way. You're gonna get run down, man.
No tanks for you.
Also, fly a little bit higher. Like
Right?
and that kills me that the hover only goes so far. I've had this conversation with other people too about escaping in space. I understand there are hyperspace lanes, and so you really only have certain exits, but it just feels ridiculous that you can't fly to a different, like off a different part of the planet and like get
Yeah.
somewhere. Um, but look, storytelling purposes, we sort of need that.
And they just clip that walker. Like, no big
Yeah,
deal. We're coming
yeah.
through.
They've caused a lot of destruction today. I will say this is a
Hmm.
successful day for the crew of the Ghost. You
Absolutely.
know, blowing up the stage and ruining the Empire Day festivities, and then all this property damage. That's some pretty good. That's a pretty good protest. The
Uh-oh.
Inquisitor.
I think this is the first time we get to see how much of a pilot he is.
Yeah, like all Force users, he's incredible, which is why people suspect that Han has a little Force. Wouldn't be super surprising if Hera had the Force a
No.
little bit too. Everyone can access it in different ways. I think that's sort of the new idea of how the Force, that's not how the Force works. I think the way the Force works is like some people just really know how to focus it, but
Hmm.
some people just have it in small ways and don't even realize it. They are
Ouch.
really hell bent on getting Sibo back. Like
Yeah.
even more so than them. Like I realize that the priority is probably Sibo, but like Kanan and Ezra have already made trouble for the
Hmm.
people, like the government on Lothal multiple times over, and they seem to be lower on the priority list. That tells you something, right? That these directives are coming from like the top. Oh, Callus and Zeb again.
I still would never have thought those two would ever
Mm-mm.
be friends.
No. I also don't get from season one any inkling that Callus is a potential rebel. Like that for me. And now they could retcon that. Imagine we get to Andor and there's a live action Callus, not played by David Oyelowo, of course, but like, and also he'd be younger, and he's going to go
Boop boop.
undercover. But like, oh
Sorry,
yeah,
Chopper.
chopper moment. We need like little flashes of like, did he kill anyone yet? It looked close. He shot something. So, um, like I don't see it, right? Like
Yeah.
I don't see it there. I think after season one, they were like, we need more Inquisitors, so we'll retcon the Inquisitor to the Grand Inquisitor, and we want to do something with Callus. But I think that was decided after. Like I don't see any breadcrumbs here, kids.
But I think that's also it's not like forced upon us. It happens organically.
Mhm.
And that's what I appreciate about the storytelling so much about his character arc, where it's not like, oh no, he has a immediately decides to go over. No, he something happens and it's a catalyst for again another catalyst to change his
Yeah,
life. Oh, this is so dangerous.
this makes me crazy. Like oh my god, they're moving so quickly. It's like go faster.
I know, like run up that tech, please.
Yeah. Oh,
Look at that. So good.
oh my god, just slice him. I realize that Jedi aren't supposed to kill people. You were like that close though. Like slice his head off. Like I have no patience for that. Oh, there. I love the helmet that the Grand Inquisitor wears when
Oh
he's
my god.
flying. It's super cool.
I think Danilo Novo needs to make one.
I hope. I mean, here's the thing, like we're doing so much catch up still on like the
No,
old
I
stuff.
know.
And
Yeah.
then the new stuff I want to do, like I want to dedicate a whole stream of content to like the live action Ahsoka show when we get there, and more Mandalorian stuff and more pieces and parts. Like I don't think we need to put out entire costumes all together. I think like we could start working on small things here and there to start your cosplay or replace your started cosplay with like the perfect version of something, right? Like I think people would appreciate that type of thing. Like if you're doing
Yeah.
a Boba Fett armor and it's like, hey, we got the shoulder, the rest is coming. Like I'm gonna send them out to you because you
Yeah.
probably have Boba Fett armor. He's been around for 40 years, but now we have a perfect shoulder. Like that could be interesting.
Yeah.
We're working on all that, as we clear out this back order.
Yeah, I gotcha.
But I would love that for myself. There's a few things in Rebels that like I would really want to do. Oh, like that I know I couldn't do. I will say though, the white tunic, the Admiral tunic, we have that. So if you want to be Thrawn, you could be
Yeah.
Thrawn. You just don't wear the cape and you're good. And
Yeah.
we're going to do a Grand Admiral badge too, because we have an Admiral badge in the works that people had ordered for Director Krennic. We're going to
Hmm.
do a Grand Admiral as well.
Oh,
So you could be
cool.
Thrawn. Then you just need the blue face paint. Well, there you go. That's Empire Day. We should have
Yeah.
mentioned to everyone this is actually a two-parter, but it stands alone as an episode for specifically because it's our Independence Day here in Americas, which is why,
Hmm.
like, we're doing this pre-record and it's a holiday. But the point of the episode still lands. Like, this is a propaganda moment filled with fireworks, but big reveals on the character side about
Oh,
Ezra.
yeah.
Like, it is, eye-opening.
And Sibo, it ends with Sibo telling them that he knows what happened to Ezra's parents. So that's a hell of a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
And yeah.
I do think at some point maybe we come back and finish. Like the thing is, like all of season one feels to me like a continuation. Like they built this not to have individual episodes or like fillers or whatever.
Yeah.
They meant for every episode to flow into each other. So the to be continued could be after almost half of the episodes in season one. Like they all
True.
feel like the stories just sync really neatly, as we're building like Ezra's force training, as Sabine is revealing more about her background, as Hera's communicating with Fulcrum, as we're learning more about the larger rebellion, as Kanan's
Hmm.
becoming a better teacher. All those things like seamlessly move from episode to episode for sure.
And this is definitely another episode where you see Kanan's reluctance to be a Jedi trainer for a master for Ezra starting to fall away because he teaches him that like you have to reach out and use the force to connect, not just attack, connect with all life
Yep.
and the importance of it.
And it
And
is interesting at the start of the episode, Ezra, like you were saying, hearing from his parents, basically, what part of the force is he tapping into there? Like, how is he kind of doing that? Where does that lead him? The mystery of Ezra's parents goes for quite a while. They
mhm,
introduce it here. Basically, we find out we know he's an orphan in episode one. They tell us the parents. We find out about the parents, the situation, him being abandoned at 7. Right, his birthday is now in this episode, but we get so much more about the parents in bits and pieces all the way until like basically the finale. Like
right.
he has that big temptation moment with Emperor Palpatine 1 or 2 episodes right before the final episodes of the entire series. Like
Yeah.
uh, Emperor Palpatine basically tries to recruit Ezra to the dark side, which Maul failed on that, and Darth Vader couldn't kill him. So, and then Emperor Palpatine's like, "Come join the dark side. I'll let you like live with your parents or something." Like it was very that, right? Like I'm
Right.
the last temptation of Christ kind of stuff. Um, and Ezra was able to resist that too, which is crazy. But this is the first.
Right.
This is the start of that. This is the first step into that like great conflict.
Right. And I think it also goes to show the growth of Ezra, not only as a human being, but as a Jedi, to resist the temptation and the pull of the dark side, no matter what they throw at you, because he wants more than anything to be with his parents and to see
Yeah.
his parents again. And Palpatine uses that. So for him to just be like, no, I'm letting you go and just completely shutting him down is you totally see that growth, and it's incredible. Great
You can
storytelling.
imagine if he met Palpatine in season one, uh, before
Yeah.
even meeting the Ghost or even this early on, and Palpatine offered him that, he would have
Hmm.
easily said yes.
Oh
And then
yeah.
who knows what would have happened. But it took like these years with Hera, Kane, and the rest of the crew. And he realized he has to care about something larger than just him. It's
Hmm.
that constant push of like selflessness, versus ego, um, that
It
really
would be
makes this whole
definitely,
conflict.
yeah, definitely. And it would be something to to write about if they ever did the Star Wars version of What If. Like, what if Ezra
Yes.
was tempted by the dark side?
Or succumb to it, right? Because
Yeah.
he's got a lot of there's a lot of temptation of the dark side with Ezra. I will tell you, I love Ezra for a variety of reasons. One, Anakin led with fear, right? Like he,
Yeah.
as a kid, he was very afraid. And even in episode two, he only gets angry when he's afraid because he's afraid he's going to lose someone, like his mom, right? That's really the crux of episode two. And then even in episode three, he's afraid he's going to lose Padme. And so his fear turns to anger. Like Ezra's just angry. Like he is not really afraid of anything. Like he has somehow like
Yeah.
crossed that hurdle and is like living in anger, straight with anger, and annoyed with the fact that his parents were taken from him, and he wants revenge. Is like the way that is what the show could be titled. Like honestly. And then he has to like calm himself down from that and realize that that's not the right path. But he's ready to swing. Pretty frequently. And so it's interesting to see that, and yet he's able to resist despite his moments where like he
Hmm.
activates some big dark side problem, which he's done. He's done several times. We could do a whole listicle of like Ezra's dark side moments.
Right. Yeah, we totally could. But you also see here that I think you'll learn it in the next episode that Ezra's parents were broadcasting just as Brent Spiner's character is like on pirated networks to warn the rebellion and spread the word about the rebellion. And that led to them being captured by the Empire.
Yeah,
And
they were freedom
um,
fighters.
they were freedom fighters. And I think it would be so cool if the rebels in Andor came across one of the Bridgers broadcasts. And
Oh, that'd be
that'd be
awesome.
so, so cool. And you
Yeah.
just hear screaming from from us from miles away.
And you know what? The voice actors are constantly gigging for Disney. I'm sure it'd be
Hmm.
easy enough to pull them in and have them do some dialogue, even if we don't see them physically on screen. I think that'd be
Yeah.
super cool. Yeah, the ninth episode of Star Wars Rebels, which is the follow up to Empire Day, is called Gathering Forces, um, and it continues basically this whole story right here, and gives you that great photo that you see in the middle with like the family portrait of young Ezra with his mom and his dad, which is so very sad.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a worthy follow up to this episode for sure. And it definitely, as we go through a highlights of season one kind of thing, we'll come back and rewatch it. That'll be a fun one to, now that we've done this
Yeah.
one sort of individually.
Yeah.
um, but yeah, thinking about what's coming soon and coming next and everything. So we are gonna do more watch alongs, and we're gonna do listicles, and we're gonna do the deep discussions as we've been doing. Um, July Inquisitors. That's all about. I'm still in Obi-Wan mode, right? Like
It's hard
it's
to get out of it.
it
It
is. I
really
mean,
is.
the Grand Inquisitor, being such a great villain, and seeing him again on screen in this episode. He doesn't have like a ton of screen time, but every moment as he's on screen, it really counts. I feel like Rebels uses him really effectively.
Oh yeah, and when he's able to like completely dodge the explosion of like, Zeb shooting at the TIE fighter
Yes,
right behind him, it
yeah,
just goes to show you the strength and the power that he has.
very calm.
Very
Um,
chill,
yeah, I think I
but
mentioned
calculated.
his lightsaber structure is a lot like Count Dooku, very fencing, very just like proper and uh,
Right.
controlled, sort of horrifying, right, in that
Hmm.
regard. Whereas like Vader is just like hacking at you. Two different types of villains that you're going to face, right?
Yeah.
But we're thinking about like what are the best of the Grand Inquisitor moments that we're going to share with everyone, and schedule like a watch along probably 2 weeks from now.
Right.
We'll probably capture uh some of the season one stuff first. I still
Right.
think the um the prison break one, or the one where they find Luminara, is like the moment where we realize that he's going to be a spectacular villain.
Oh yeah. And the lengths he goes to torture Kanan and get answers from him. Like he's ruthless, he's calculated, he's willing to use incredibly dark methods to get what he wants. There's a reason why they made him the Grand Inquisitor, and I think you
Yeah,
see it here. You get so much more information from him from Rebels than you have in Obi-Wan. So don't sleep on him. He's he's a
no, not at
badass, I
all.
promise.
He is,
Yeah.
and I think, and I'm looking at the title now, Rise of the Old Masters. I always forget it's a weird title because it's not really true. Um, the Rise of the Old Masters episode, I think, is the strongest showing for the Grand Inquisitor
Mm-hmm.
within Rebels season one until we get to like Fire Across the Galaxy. He's also great in Gathering Forces, which is the follow up to the episode we
Yeah.
just watched, Empire Day. Path of the Jedi is spectacular. And then the finale, which is Fire Across the Galaxy, is preceded by Rebel Resolve, which is also great. Like he's excellent in all of these.
Yeah.
But we'll pick two to watch in a couple weeks, and then
Yeah.
we'll jump into some other Inquisitor content in season two with the Fifth Brother and the Seven Sisters, one of my favorites.
Oh my God. Yeah. She's
Yeah,
so good.
yeah.
So good.
I wonder if we're going to get a live action. Because by the way, in the Andor time frame, there are Inquisitors. Will we see live action Inquisitors in that time frame? You know, possibly. I mean, fourth sister's still out there, right?
Right.
Second sister will not show up, I don't think, because I think they're going to keep her in just the video game. Reva's
Yeah.
on her own now, right? But like fourth sister's there, fifth sister is there, sixth brother could be alive, might not be alive, but I think you hold that for like an Ahsoka flashback, given the
Mm-hmm.
importance of him. Seventh sister could pop up, like, and it doesn't need to be Sarah Michelle necessarily. Like, you know, we're fine.
Although
They
we
they
would lose our minds if it was.
It'd be very cool if it was eighth brother. That could work. And then 9, 10, 11, and 12 are all in, they're in the comics.
Yeah.
It all depends on like exactly the timing of Andor and when all this like lines up. But like there's potential for several of these characters to find their way in there.
Absolutely. And there's so much content across like the video games. Obviously, we can't really delve into too much of the video games here. The comics and what we see here. Like I mean, they were good in Obi-Wan, but I really feel like Rebels gives you the meat and the potatoes of the Inquisitorious, and
Yeah.
I love it.
The comics do a nice job expanding on that, but like I
Mhm.
always tell people, if you want to know the basics of the Grand Inquisitor, like Rebels is your answer. And when you get
Mhm.
to season two with him, um, when Kanan gets knighted in the temple, right? Like that whole situation, and we find out his whole backstory for the Grand Inquisitor is it's heartbreaking, and also like right on with you'd expect. Like all of these people I shouldn't say all, most of them started as either Jedi Masters or Padawans. And if they weren't, they were probably just like kidnapped as babies, right? Like those are really like
Yeah.
the three streams to get you to be an Inquisitor. So if he wasn't a
Join us
Padawan,
or
he was a
die.
Master.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, or you were abducted as a baby and you don't know better. Um,
Yeah.
I'm looking at the future of the Force is great. That would be a great watch along for us. Like there's a lot of excellent stuff in season two. I see. I actually want to. I sort of still want to watch like every single episode. But we
I
do other things
know.
mixed in, and sometimes
Yeah.
like
We want to keep it interesting.
yeah, and and with Andor August coming, hashtag patent pending. Like there's going to be, we're going to coordinate with the entire VCN network, as we mentioned, on cross content, cross Clone Wars, Rebels. We'll watch Rogue One. There's other stuff. I'm sure there'll be discussions and predictions. I'd love to just do a roundtable with all the various hosts and go wild on predictions, because I think coming out of this show, like the Ezra's parents is my wild prediction. Like I'd love to
Yeah.
see it. I'm rooting for
I'm
it.
with you on that.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that could be really fun. And we can go into like, what do we know? What do we hope for? What do we think is reasonable? What do we think is crazy and bonkers? Like I love that kind of stuff, the speculation.
Yeah.
It's the best part. And then it will be weekly drops of the Andor show. I forget exactly how many episodes, but we'll have like after an episode drops a
It's
week.
12. Yeah.
It's 12. Oh my God, that's gonna be
Yeah.
amazing. So we'll have a week
So yeah, we get
to
season 1 of
discuss.
12 and season 2 of 12. So they're
How do you know
really
more than I?
stacking the
This is
deck.
I'm telling you, as licensee, I don't know what's going on.
I went back and watched the panel, and yeah, so they're doing a 2 season deal for
They're
this
just
so
doing
far.
two? I thought they were
So
doing
far,
more.
yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I forget who let it slip that they were doing a second season, but
Well, I knew they were doing at least two. I was hoping
yeah.
that there'd be a third or a fourth because
But
I think
the
right off
yeah.
the bat, like that trailer was like
Oh,
nothing I had seen from Star Wars. It just
yeah.
felt so fresh. So,
And it was
yeah,
outside. You can see that they
yeah,
got out and they left the volume, and
yeah.
it feels so crazy, like kind
It
of like
feels
Rogue One
big.
itself.
It
It's
feels really
cinematic,
big.
it's big.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is true. You can tell what's on the volume and what's not. And I don't want to make that a
Yeah.
knock on anything that happens in the volume. The volume is
No, not in any
incredible.
way.
It's incredible. I will say Obi-Wan felt a little small, despite the fact that they went to various locations. Like most things looked like a set or a wall of imagery that we're trying to make it look like it's not a wall of imagery. It's no doubt though that everything for Andor, or almost everything for Andor, was shot on location. Like you could see the difference.
Yeah.
Cameras are good now. Like you can really see the difference. Um, so yeah, I'm excited to see what that turns into. So Andor August coming, being brought to you by mostly Star Wars Rebels Revisited. We have the most content. I went through the list and I was like, oh, I think we win. Just based on the number of things we want you to watch. It might end up being an
Yeah.
all watch along August, and then we'll, related to Andor stuff, and maybe just like a big panel discussion the week before about like, our own predictions, like Rebels related
Right.
stuff. Yeah, but we will coordinate with everyone else on the VCN. And in fact, this is a great example for anyone in the Facebook chat, YouTube chat. What kind of cross pollination would you like to see with us and the rest of the VCN shows?
Yeah.
Obviously, like Jeff and Dave and Spencer and all the other hosts that are out there, like the team who does the Unifying Force. There's obviously a happy hour. Like if you guys have ideas of like what you'd want us to dive into and or related before we get there, throughout the month of August, now's your time to make your pitches because we'll have time to
Absolutely.
react to it. We'll use July to like plot it out.
Yeah. So make sure you drop any of your ideas, any of your predictions, anything into the comments. And, we want to make it, like I said earlier, and we want to make it as much your show as it is our show.
Mhm.
And we totally appreciate you guys watching and the sense of community here. So join us, talk with
Yeah.
us, share with us.
I will say it's weird doing this first show. This is the first time we're doing this, other than we had a little test practice beforehand without
Yeah.
having the Facebook chat rolling, without questions
Yeah.
coming in, without getting poked by like Dave or Spencer to like, hey, address that thing. So we were just watching the episode, just hanging out, chatting
Yeah.
between the two of us, which is something we would probably just do on our own anyway, like with or
Yeah.
without the show. But we love the community aspect of this. Like I after the show, I come back and I tell my husband like everything we just did for an hour, and he's like, I can see it. So, but it's like, yes, it's fun.
I'm going
We're
to
having a
put it
great
up
time.
on YouTube now. There
Exactly.
it is. No.
But yeah, we have a lot of fun stuff coming. Oh, I should mention other things on the calendar coming up. So
Yeah.
we're weeks away from San Diego Comic-Con, which I cannot believe. Like
I know.
you're not going, right? You're not
Oh,
sure
I'm
yet. Are you
going.
going? You
Yeah,
going?
I'm
All right.
going.
All right.
Got my return flight yesterday finally because flights are ridiculous now.
Terrible.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing everybody there. I will be on the vendor floor with a booth with Joe Caroni,
Excellent.
and I'm looking forward to seeing as many of you as possible. And say hi to Mark at the Denuo Novo booth.
Do you know your booth number by any chance?
Oh man.
We have time, by the way. No one's gonna
Yeah,
remember
I
if you
will
say it
definitely
today.
get back to
Yeah.
you with a specific number, but I know our placement is usually like smack in front of the hall F doors.
Oh,
So
nice.
it's
Yeah.
key spot. We usually have like Tweeterhead and Olivia's art like right across from us. That's the way it's been for the previous 2 years I had gone before
Mhm.
the pandemic. So hopefully we're still there, but Yeah, I'll keep you guys posted.
Yeah, we'll make sure we put all this in the show
Definitely.
next week and leading up to it because I will also be at San Diego Comic-Con. I
Yeah.
assume if you are watching a YouTube Star Wars show, there's a good chance that you are going to San Diego Comic-Con. And if you are, I want to see you. I want to meet you.
Yes.
Ashley and I are both going to be there, which is very exciting. We're not going to do like a Rebels Revisited live or anything from San Diego because we're both working. Once
Yeah.
again, we are laboring at the convention. This is all we do. Ashley, how many shows do you think you go to a year?
Oh God, I know pre-pandemic the most I did was 22.
Oh my God, it's two a
Yeah.
month. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Easily. There would be some months where we would have a show every single weekend,
yeah, I
at
believe it.
least twice a year.
Because
So,
there's like a con season too. Like it comes in these like waves where it's like everyone's
right.
got their stuff in like June and then again weirdly in like November. People stay away from San Diego, July and October, New York. Like so you sort of lose the other
Yeah.
weekends around. Sometimes because of contracts and geographies. But like Wizard World back when they were still a thing, and I guess now it's Fanboy, but like
Fan
they were
Expo.
yeah, they were scheduling two a month across the whole country. So
Oh
what
yeah.
does a typical schedule look like for you? Like where have you been and where are you going over the next like tell us your globetrotting Carmen San Diego situation.
Oh man. Let's see. So I think this weekend Joe is in Denver for Fan Expo Denver. And 2 weeks ago he was in Dallas for Fan Expo Dallas. So he did those shows without me. But I believe our next show is Fan Expo Chicago.
Okay.
So that's coming up. Not this weekend. I believe it's the weekend after. I just want to double check.
So it'd be like the 16th or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. 1 second.
Yeah, because then the
Sorry.
San Diego starts on like Wednesday the 19th or Wednesday
Yeah.
the 20th. Yeah.
Yeah, July 7th through the 10th. So I'll be at Fan
Yeah.
Expo Chicago in Rosemont,
Nice.
Illinois. And then after that is San Diego Comic Con.
Yep. And then
Yeah.
before you know it, it'll be New York Comic Con in October,
I
which
know.
is our
I
other big
love New
one.
York Comic Con so much.
It's my hometown
I
show.
went as a
Yeah.
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 And it was a show I went to as a fan before I went to as like a working artist, and it's got a special place in my heart forever.
Same
But
for me.
after
Yeah.
San Diego, we'll be back in our neck of the woods in Terrificon at Mohegan Sun Casino in Uncasville,
Ooh.
Connecticut.
Oh,
So I am looking forward to that. I hope you can go.
so Spencer was texting me about that. I forgot that you were also
Yes.
attending. This is what
Yes.
happens, right? Like my calendar books up and Spencer's like, oh, some Star Wars actors are going to be at this thing. And I was like, all right, I'll look into it. And then I was like, oh, wait, it also means Spencer's going and you're there and Joe's there. Like, I was
Yeah.
like, it's
And
Connecticut. I could drive.
Frank and
That's the
yeah.
thing is like, I can drive there in probably an hour and a half. Like
Yeah,
I could,
me too,
yeah.
from my mom's house. So
Yeah. So I think I'm going to try to get up there. What was the date on that one again?
let's see. Terrificon is July 29th through the 31st.
Oh, let's do it. All right.
Yeah.
So, all right, everyone else, you're invited to Rebels Revisited live, coming to you live from Mohegan Sun, somewhere between July 29th and the 30th. We'll record something live. We'll do
Yeah,
something
we
quick for the
should.
fans. Yeah, I'll just
It'd be
come
so fun.
bother you guys at your table. As you're trying to work, because here's the thing: like, you're working 22 shows a year, or whatever it is now.
Yeah.
When I was at Tops, I was doing San Diego Comic Con for work, New York Comic Con for work, Star Wars Celebration when they had it, which was just about every year I was a licensee. It was kind of amazing.
Yeah.
And then I was going to a couple of shows on my own for fun. Like I go to 2 horror shows a year, Chiller, which is in April and October in New
Oh,
Jersey,
so
which I
good.
love. Love me some horror. And then we started going to
Yes.
all these various other shows. WinterCon is in New York. And I love Rhode Island Comic Con, which I've talked about at length as being like my
That's
other
another
hometown show. It's like
awesome
my
show. Yes.
love it, love it, love it. So
Yes.
it racks up to 12 to 15 shows a year, which is like one a month or whatever. And when you're not like, I'm not an artist, like I don't have a booth, like, I'm just going to a lot of conventions, which is crazy town. So, but it's a
But it's so
nice way to
fun.
spend your weekends, but it also
Yeah.
gets exhausting. And so now I realize I'm back on that cusp, right? I just did Celebration. We're headed to San Diego. My plane ticket was insane. Obviously we're going to do New York Comic Con. By the
Yeah.
way, the official Denuo Novo announcement about San Diego Comic Con will be coming out next week, and we'll reveal our booth number. We're also going to show our Star Wars stuff that we had at Celebration, some new stuff, some new reveals. We have our Batman cowl that we're going to show in person, which we're very excited about. People can
Oh
actually
my
see
God,
it.
it's so
It's it's
gorgeous.
way bigger than you realized, girl. The thing is, like, I was like, oh my God, the way we have to pack this thing, I'm gonna have a heart attack. So
We'll make
it's
sure to put it on my tiny little
I don't even
body.
want people touching it. I'm so nervous, but
Okay,
like
yeah.
yeah, no, it's
Because you
one of
only
those
made
things that,
500 of them, right?
well, we haven't even made them yet. Like
Oh,
we're still
prototype.
in pre-production
Yeah.
prototype. So like, because it's delivering in Q3, and Q3 starts like today. But like it's probably delivering in like August, early September, hopefully. Like
Oh, it looks
September is
so
probably what
cool.
I'm targeting. Yeah, and there's it's a pretty limited run, but it's also a gigantic item, and it's made of heavy silicone. It's the bat suit, right? So it's big,
Yeah.
it's big. So that will be there though. You can come meet the Batman cowl at the booth along with me, and all of our other helmets and all our other
And you
stuff.
can laugh at me as I try to like walk away with the Sabine helmet. No, I'm kidding.
You will not be alone on that one. I'm sure
No,
someone's
no,
gonna
no.
try to like lift a piece.
No, no,
But no,
everyone's gonna
it's
do.
gonna be really fun. We will do a nice photo shoot
Oh, so cool.
at the booth. And yeah, so our official reveal. Meanwhile, it's like the worst kept secret in the world. Like all of NECA's going. So there's like a Ruby's booth, a NECA
Ooh.
booth, a Kid Robot booth. Like we're all there.
Are you
So
all on one island? Do you
I
know
think
yet?
we're
Or
all like generally near each other, but you know how
okay.
these things go at San Diego Comic Con. Like your
Yeah.
booths are usually grandfathered in from 40 years ago. And if you didn't get your booth
Yeah,
then good luck
exactly.
forever. Like you'll never get a booth. So that's the kind of thing where like we're all going to be in that general vicinity, and we have a lot of the same employees who work across the various companies, who are going to be popping between the booths and stuff. But like, we will have a dedicated Denuo Novo space. I've got my bright blue T-shirt, just like we did at Celebration.
Yay.
The email's going out next week to everyone on our distribution list. But for anyone else who doesn't know already, like we will be at San Diego Comic Con. Booth number 2 be coming soon, as well as some other details, and we'll have some product reveals and some coming soon stuff. It's going to be really fun. I'm just excited to go because I haven't been since 2019, like most
Same.
people, right? Like most
Yeah.
people haven't been in 3 years, and it is the premier Comic Con. Like it is the thing that originated the name Comic Con. They still refer to themselves as just Comic Con. We all call it San Diego for clarity's sake, but like
Yeah.
it's them, Comic Con International. Like they did it.
Yeah. If you guys ever have the opportunity to get tickets to Comic Con, I know it's a real struggle to get in
Yeah,
there and get through the portal and get your tickets. But if you have the opportunity, do it. There's nothing like it. Like
yeah,
between New York and San Diego, they all have their own flavors and they just ah,
yeah.
I can't
I
even
highly
begin to
recommend.
describe it. Like 2018 was my first one, and ever since then, like my mind is just blown,
Yeah,
absolutely
mine
blown.
mine was 2015, and I was a licensee, so I was working it. So my first attending show, because my first Comic Con I ever attended was like New York Comic Con back in like 2010 or whatever it was. It's a long time ago now.
Oh, mine was
Um,
2012.
it was like right, not that far
Yeah,
off.
yeah,
And like I was still able to get tickets without a problem. And
yeah.
and then I went to San Diego as a licensee, and I was like, oh my God, like this is on a whole other scale. And like you're working, so it's one thing to work versus attend. And again, Ashley and I will both be at San Diego Comic Con
Right.
about a month from now or 3 weeks from now, working. But come by and see us.
Yeah,
We'll try to like hang out a little, and we'd love to meet people in the fandom for sure.
absolutely. And see our virtual Cantina fam.
Exactly. We want. Oh yeah, if you're from the virtual cantina, we got to get a photo together. We have to selfie, and we got to put them up on like the Facebook page. We will do a show when we get back that month. I think we can do something that Monday. When we get back, like I'm flying. I'm doing the Sunday red eye. If not,
Oh,
we'll do a pre-record. For
yeah.
Yeah, we might do
I think
that.
my flight comes in at 1 a.m. on Monday.
Oh, that's
Like,
terrible. Yeah.
actually 1 a.m. on Tuesday. So that's gonna
Oh,
be
gotcha.
pretty
Yeah, yeah.
brutal.
We'll
Yeah.
do we'll probably do a like we were talking about we haven't done a listicle yet.
Hmm.
And you know me, I love a listicle. So I think we're gonna do a listicle of maybe Inquisitor moments or something to go along with the
Yeah,
Inquisitor trend that we're gonna start next
that's
week.
a great idea.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I think we'll do something like that. But yeah, so with that though, I'm looking at the time, and even though this is a
Hmm.
pre-record, I don't want to keep you guys over. So
Absolutely.
coming up July, all about the Inquisitors because we are not over Obi-Wan. So all sorts of new content coming related to the Grand Inquisitor, which will start on next week. San Diego Comic-Con, we will be there. Come visit us if you're going to be there. More information coming soon.
Absolutely.
August, August,
And or
all about Andor.
August.
Yeah. And we're going to be the signature show on the VCN for that. Let me tell you, for the build up to Andor. There will also then be a proper watch along show when the Andor show starts. That like Spencer and
Jeff
Jeff
and
and
Dave.
Dave,
Yeah.
like those guys will manage that. And they'll be I'm sure they'll do an amazing job. I love their watch
You
alongs.
guys, we're so spoiled right now in Star Wars. It's gonna
Yeah,
be
it's
fantastic.
amazing. This is
So
like
excited.
I couldn't have imagined this, especially in
I
2014
know.
as a licensee for Rebels. Like, there's no way. Like the world of 2022 and Star Wars related anyway could not have predicted. So
Definitely
yeah,
not. But I couldn't be happier to be a part of it and part of
same.
the fandom. So
All right. Well, I think on that note, let's wish everyone a happy Independence Day, happy
happy
Fourth of July.
Independence Day.
Yeah.
Happy Empire
Happy
Day.
Empire Day. feels like we're in that at the moment, but
Yeah.
let's look to better things. Let's use this as the start of like a new year, almost like a new year, right? And think about, if we're not happy with the way things are going in our government, how do you make those changes? How do you become an active citizen? How can you get involved? I'm not saying blow up a thing and give the minister a concussion, but what can you do
Positive
to
changes.
make
Take your
positive change in
grief
the
and
world?
turn it into positivity.
Exactly. I read a thing that was like, don't let this moment decimate you. Let this moment radicalize you, or or get you motivate you.
Motivate
Like,
you.
there's a few
Yeah.
different various iterations of that quote going around. I kind of like the radicalized one, but I was like, first of all, too late. But second of all, like, motivate works for, I think, everyone. Do what you can, get involved. Take care of each other. I think that's really the biggest thing too. Is we all need each other more than ever.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like to pretend for a second that I'm in some kind of rebellion, like living underground like these guys in the real world. I'm very cozy in my New York City apartment with my friends. I'm very lucky. But
Yeah.
hopefully you all have each other, and certainly in this Facebook group we all have each other. So
Definitely.
let's chat with us. That'll be our that'll be the thing that keeps us okay on Empire Day.
Absolutely. And make sure you guys check out the VCN's other shows. We have the let's see. So I believe on Sunday we have the Unifying Force.
Yep.
And we also have the Tuesday night Zoom Cantina happy hour. That's always fun. Make sure you log on and talk with them about all things Star Wars. And then Thursday night, they have the watch alongs with Spencer, Jeff, and Dave. So please don't miss out on that. It's so fun to look.
Those are great.
Those are so fun.
Oh yeah, those were so fun to be a guest host on too. I'm gonna have to pop into Andor at some point. When something crazy
He,
Rebels related
yeah.
happens, I'm gonna demand a spot on the watch along for that. So
And make
I'm
sure
gonna
you
wait
have
my
the rubies roll out ready
oh
because
boy. We roll out stuff every week. It's inescapable.
yeah.
Sign up for the emails. Go to dunova.com and get the emails. It'll save you the rollout. I should roll. I didn't do that last time. There we go. Ruby's rollout. With that though, we are gonna roll out.
Yes.
And we will see you guys next Monday, 8 9 p.m.
9 p.m.
9 p.m.
Eastern,
Eastern. See, I already forgot the time. I'm terrible at this. All right, we're
6
gonna
p.m. Pacific. Yeah.
Mondays
You're
at
not
9.
terrible.
I said
It's
today, I was like, Ashley, we're recording at 8, right? And she's like, no, we're recording at 9. I couldn't tell you. If you think I know what day it is, you are sadly
well,
mistaken.
that's why you have
Yeah.
us. So
Yes. So, but thank you guys for joining us for
thank you,
our Empire
Rebels.
Day celebration. So Monday, we'll see you Monday, 9
Monday at
p.m.
9
Eastern,
p.m.
6 p.m. Pacific. And you guys enjoy your holiday.
Thank you guys, and may the force be with you.